there. Today I'm starting with a couple of photos and a paper pad. And I wanted to take you through kind of my thought process for getting started on this page. It's been a really challenging one to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. To begin with, I've got two different photos taken at the same place of my husband and I, and then my parents. And I spent a lot of time with this photo, and I love this paper pad from Teresa Collins, the Fabrications pad. I loved the colors in there, and I pulled out several papers, especially this one, that I really liked with the photo. But I was looking for lots of different ways, and a lot of different ways you could use 6x6 pads, but nothing was really working with the photo. Everything I tried just didn't really strike me as what I wanted the look to be to go with this picture. And finally I realized the problem was I didn't have a story. I have a posed picture of the two of us dressed fairly nicely with lots of formal pictures that go well with the sweater I have on and with the location of where we are, but there's really no story here, at least not about us. Because the day that this was taken, the story was really more about my parents, because it's my mom's birthday. So I realized that this was the better picture to work with, at least for today. This is the story that I wanted to tell. And so I started, I looked at the photos again, and this picture's simpler because they're dressed in more solid colors, so it's a lot easier to work with too. So that helped quite a bit. And then it was a matter of figuring out what to do with the papers. And I looked at a lot of different options. I also have these brads that happen to match that particular line. So I've got a couple of things there to work with. And one of the things I landed on with working with these papers is I thought it would be nice to cut out a design with the Cricut and use the papers to sort of fill in the design, because I was looking at one of the sort of quadrant kinds of layouts that you can do with 6x6 pads, and that really wasn't where I was going. But I thought if I put something over the top of that, layered over the top of that with something ornate, flourishes kind of thing, that would make a really pretty background, because this is taken at a high-end shopping mall, or high-end for our area, and my mother's dressed really nicely, and it was her birthday, so it's a little bit more of a formal kind of thing as far as we're concerned anyway. So what I did was then go to the Cricut, and I have this design. This is from the Storybook cartridge, and I cut this out with some gray cardstock. I wanted black, I didn't have it, so again, another challenge. So I used gray, and I think that works well because it's not so overpowering. And what I'm going to do with this is, when I look at the design, there are these swirls, and there are four of them, and they're just turned. It's like they're running counterclockwise around the center design. So my plan is to put a color in each of those four sections, and then a different color in the center, probably the yellow, since it's different from everything else, and then lay the photo on top of it. And then comes the decision of what color background to use. I think black would look good, but I don't have it. So I'm looking at this ivory color, at least for right now, as a possibility. And so far I'm liking this a lot, and you can see that it looks better than the photo of the two of us, because ours is just a little too busy with what I'm wearing, and I looked at matting it and all. But again, I didn't really have a story that went with this kind of formal design, and I have something I can say here better. Posed pictures are something you don't see as much on my scrapbook pages, because I do better with action. If I've got us doing something, then I have a story, and that kind of leads me more to what's going on in our lives. But I do have something great that I can say with this picture, and I think this ornate kind of look works with it. Now my challenge with it is that the gray looks a little bit dull, a little bit flat to me. It needs some dimension. So what I want to do is add some inks or something to this to make it just sort of pop a little bit more on the background paper. So that's what I'm going to do next. I took the remains of what was left in the Cricut, these extra pieces in the middle, and I've used some of them to to experiment with. I tried just drawing around the edge with the marker just to highlight, and that didn't really give me quite enough. I used a sponge and some gray ink, and that's not bad. I tried going around with a marker drawing lines, and I like the look, but it's too informal for what I'm going for here. And then I tried a couple of mists. I did the Heidi Swap Tinsel and Mr. Huey, a dark color. I didn't have black, so I had a dark brown. I really don't like that. That's too splotchy. But I was surprised at how much I liked the tinsel color and how much difference it made in the paper. But I don't think it's enough. So I think I'm going to use a combination of sponging on some black ink and spraying with the tinsel mist.
I'm adding a little gray ink to the edges to distress them, as I showed in the sample. This will make it pop a little bit more. Let me hold it up for you. And I'm ready to go spray it with some pewter or some tinsel mist. This is Heidi Swap Color Shine, and that's the back, and then so you can see that the tinsel really does make a difference. Now I'm ready to add my different colors of 6x6 paper underneath each of these swirls. And to get them fitted in, I'm just going to take the die cut and line it up with the corner of the paper, and then I'll mark a little bit beyond where I need to cut. So I'm just kind of marking one sort of width of that die cut over, and when I trim this out, I can be kind of casual with it. It doesn't have to be a perfect trim because the die cut will of course cover the edges. This is also one of those paper pads where there's two of everything, so if I screw it up, I've got extra paper. And now I'm going to do the purple at the top the same way. Just mark around where I know that'll give me enough border that it won't show the edges. So I've cut all of those and glued that to the die cut, and I have this beige background behind things that I had planned, but I want to try a gray background. This is a different type of gray cardstock, so there's slightly different shades, and it gives a tone-on-tone effect, and I really like this. It just makes everything pop so much better, whatever you put in the middle, as opposed to that white background that seemed to be pulling out the background color of the photo rather than letting my parents' pictures show up. I know I want to put some journaling strips over on the left, and I have this cute tag from My Mind's Eye, Made with Love, and I really liked that, but I decided I liked it so much that I wanted to use that as the title and make it a little bit larger. So I'm going to take those words and make a title, and then over to the right of the photo add some embellishment. That's my plan anyway. So here we are working on this tag with the words on there, and I had some purple thickers I really wanted to use since it kind of went with the color scheme. I cut out love with the Cricut, and I'm going to stamp a swirl over on the left. This is gold paper from Stampin' Up. Adding my thickers in here, and I spent a lot of time on this. Then the word love needs to go underneath the with a little bit. I get all that done and I lay it on there, and this is where I start to see that maybe that's not the best idea. It just seems to be, I don't know, too cheap looking or something to go with the photo and the background. It's just not working too well for me, so I need to think about it a while. And when I get in these situations where I'm not sure, I go work on something I am sure about. And I am sure about these paper strips and using brads to attach them. So I'm just going to trim the edges of these, trim them down a little bit, and I'm ready to apply these with brads using a foam pad underneath my background and a paper piercing tool. I actually use a dressmaker's awl for my paper piercing tool to put my holes in there and then put these brads. These are My Mind's Eye brads, and I just went through my packs and picked 4 different colors that matched my background colors. I have a little shine to them, so they kind of give it a little bit more of a dressed up sort of appearance. And when I get those in place, I'll add a little bit of extra adhesive to the paper strips so that they stay in place. Right, now I have those in place, and I'm still working on that title. I had some ribbon I thought I might add over to the side, and a really pretty brad. This is a brad that was made to match those papers from Teresa Collins. I have a stamped and punched embellishment there that that brad may go in the center of. And in the end, I decided that title was just too much. So I ended up with just the original die cut.
Well, you've seen me try a lot of stuff with this page that I didn't like, and so sometimes simple is better, and that's what I ended up with. I left it with a very, very small title. The person would probably have to hunt for the title looking at this, but I know what the page is all about, and what I had was a great photo of my parents and just a simple message that I wanted to convey, that after years of working so hard and taking care of family, that they finally have this peaceful time for themselves, and they're healthy, and it's just a great, I think it seems, at least from my point of view, to be a great time in their lives. So that's really all I wanted to say here. So I didn't need a whole lot of stuff, and what I ended up with was just my journaling strips and the simple title block, and then this, just a minor little embellishment to balance it out over the top of a pretty background. And I think the photo really shines on that gold paper from Stampin' Up. And so we have our page. Thank you for patiently watching all my different experiments with this, and I hope that it inspired you to to try a lot of different things, and if something doesn't work, take it off the page and keep going. So thanks for watching.